Katie McFarland with us this morning. His hands, I don't think his hands are clean. He messed up Iran in the first place.
His hands are the dirtiest of all. I mean, the audacity of President Obama to come out and say that everybody's made a big mistake here. Come on, he was the one that empowered Iran. He was the one that drove oil prices high and allowed Iran to sell oil on the international market. He dropped all those sanctions, so Iran got rich. He also paid money directly to Hamas. Why? Because he had this, quote, humanitarian aid to the Palestinians. Well, the humanitarian aid doesn't go to the Palestinian people. It goes to Iran. I mean, it goes to Hamas. Hamas steals the fuel. It steals the cement. It steals the food intended for the people, but Hamas uses it for its military purposes. And then finally, President Obama was the one who tried to negotiate with Iran to allow Iran to have nuclear weapons. So for him to say everybody's hands are dirty, the dirtiest hands of all are his.
Why do you think he's saying this at this particular time? Has it got anything to do with President Biden's political troubles here at home?
Well, I'm not a political analyst, so it's hard for me to say, although I will point out that the Democrat Party is at a civil war with itself over the whole Israel, Middle East, Hamas, Palestinian issue. The younger Democrats are the progressive wing of the Democrat Party, are anti-Semitic. They're anti-Israel. They're pro-Palestinian by definition, but they're pro-Hamas. The older part of the Democratic Party, well, they used to be pro-Israel. And so President Obama has waded into the middle of it because for example, he said things when he was president like, well, Bibi Netanyahu's a bad head of Israel. Bibi Netanyahu should go. And now President Biden is saying the same thing, saying, well, Bibi Netanyahu, his support is weakening. Netanyahu's the guy who wants to clean out Hamas, and they don't want that to happen.
President Biden meets China's Xi Jinping in San Francisco later this month. Can you tell us, Katie, what's this meeting all about? Is it just to lower the tension level, or is there something else going on here?
Well, I think in part it's a photo opportunity for President Biden. His people are saying, well, we need to make sure we have open lines of communication with the Chinese. It's an issue where we could have breakout in war at any point in time over Taiwan, over trade issues, et cetera. But I think really it's just a greater fool has never been born. You know, President Xi of China promised a bunch of things that he lied about. He said, well, those islands in the South China Sea, we're not going to ever militarize them. We're going to take control over them, but they're never going to be military islands. Well, that's exactly what he ended up doing. The other thing is that President Xi has gone around the world, and he's telling all the countries in the world, America's finished. Irreversible decline. You better side with China, whether it's over trade, whether it's over Taiwan, whether it's over security issues. So I don't think if Biden is able to get some kind of an agreement with some people say, well, he's going to get China to pledge never to go use military force against Taiwan, I would rip that thing up the minute it was
pointless.
signed.
Katie, always on the spot. Thanks very much indeed. We'll see you again soon. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.